Hello, Sacral Beauty. Welcome to the She Sacral podcast, where we focus on burnout recovery through the power of sacred pleasure. So welcome. If this is your first time tuning in and you're a little confused on what the personality types are or what they mean, then be sure to check out the first episode of this series, which can break everything down for you a little deeper. Today, we're going to dive in and talk about the personality type ISFP. Your burnout archetype is the Peacemaker. So if you find yourself saying, I'm fine, when you're not, and keeping the peace at the expense of your own needs, then this episode is for you. As an ISFP, you tend to be introverted in the way that you draw in energy, sensing in the way that you process information. You focus on your feelings with making decisions, and you tend to be a perceiver in the way that you relate to structure and flexibility. As an ISFP, your sacred strengths are that you are gentle, authentic, and deeply in tune with beauty and harmony. You bring calm and grace to spaces that feel tense or chaotic. And your natural empathy makes people feel safe and understood. So take a moment to honor that. Your softness is beautiful and sacred. But what happens when the peacekeeping costs you your own truth? Some signs that your personality could be creeping into burnout could look like avoiding conflict so much that you bury your own feelings, you agree to things you don't want to do just to keep others happy, and you feel emotionally flat because your voice is silent. Some clues that your body may send you that it is feeling overwhelmed could look like digestive issues or IBS flare-ups, stomach knots, and emotional numbness. Now let's dive in a little bit deeper. When it comes to our survival mechanisms, we can tend to fight, flight or flee, freeze or fawn. And for you, the Peacemaker lives in a fawn response when stressed, automatically smoothing over tension and agreeing just to keep the waters calm. This isn't fake kindness, as some people may think it is. It's a deeply ingrained survival skill. You've learned to read a room faster than most, sensing subtle changes in tone or body language and adjusting yourself before conflict even has a chance to rise. On the outside, you can look easygoing and warm, but inside, you're often holding back, biting your tongue, swallowing your feelings, because suppression feels safer than confrontation. Yet, the cost is pretty steep. And the tension that you avoid externally with others builds internally in your body and your nervous system. Some core beliefs that could be shaping your burnout archetype can sound like, if I speak up, I'll hurt someone, or harmony matters more than my needs, or my feelings will just cause problems. These aren't just thoughts. They're ingrained rules that you live by, often without even realizing it. So let's talk about some root causes that could shape some of these beliefs. In your childhood, if you grew up in an environment where conflict felt dangerous, whether it was loud arguments or cold silences or unpredictable reactions, all of the chaos in the house and screaming or yelling or just that dangerous feeling of energy, you likely equated silence with safety. You may have noticed that love, belonging, and approval came when you were more easygoing and agreeable. Generationally, you may have learned to just be nice. Don't make any waves. That wasn't just advice. It became a blueprint for survival. When it comes to your core fear, at the root, it's a fear of being seen as difficult, selfish, or unlovable, just for simply expressing your needs. To your nervous system, self-expression feels risky, even though your logical mind knows that you have a right to express yourself. But I want to reframe this a little bit. Your voice is not a weapon. It's a bridge between your inner world and your outer world. And without it, you won't be able to get your needs met. True harmony isn't the absence of conflict. It's the presence of understanding. And I think we've learned that over time, that if things just seem or feel or look calm, that everything is balanced. But harmony and balance isn't just for one person, it's for everyone involved. So speaking truth with love allows for others to meet the real you, not just wearing this agreeable mask you've learned to wear in order to survive. Now, you might be asking yourself, how did I get here? Well, a prime example of a burnout trap could look like you just said yes to hosting a weekend dinner for friends, even though you've been running on low energy all week. Well, now it's the weekend, and instead of resting, you're vacuuming, you're cooking, and you're making sure everyone's favorite drink is fully stocked. Halfway through the night, you notice that you haven't sat down once. Your cheeks hurt from smiling, and you're laughing at everyone's stories, nodding along, but inside, you're thinking about the early meeting you have on Monday and how much your body is aching. Maybe a friend even asks you if you need help with cleaning, and maybe you just wave them off and say, "Oh, I'm fine," even though you feel this pang, this feeling of resentment. Later, alone in the kitchen, you realize that you've been carrying the same tightness in your chest for months, always accommodating, never asking, and afraid that one no or honest opinion will shift how people see you. And you start to wonder, when did harmony start to cost me my health? So this is a prime example of how this can show up as being the peacemaker, constantly shutting yourself down in order to keep the peace for others. Meanwhile, you're creating a war inside. So let's dive in a little bit more about how this can show up in your body. When you live in that constant fawn response and going along with what other people are asking of you and people pleasing, your body treats every potential conflict, even small ones, as a threat. This can keep your nervous system stuck in a stress loop, which often shows up in your gut first. So you may notice IBS flare-ups or unpredictable digestion even after stressful conversation, persistent nausea or stomach knots before social events or difficult talks, low appetite or comfort eating to avoid feeling. Your gut and your nervous system are deeply connected. We have what's called our vagus nerve, and our vagus nerve kind of goes all the way from our throat area all the way down to our digestive system. And so when we suppress our emotions, our throat chakra, the vagus nerve that runs through the throat holds the ability to keep your digestion calm, but when you suppress your emotions, that gets disrupted, causing more flare-ups in your digestive system. When it comes to hormones, constant cortisol surges from stress eventually causes gut inflammation and throws off your microbiome. Over time, this imbalance can throw off your estrogen and your progesterone levels and lead you into more PMS mood swings, irregular cycles, and cramps can tend to get worse under emotional strain. Now, when it comes to your sacral energy, your sacral center thrives on self-expression, intimacy, and flow. So when you silence your truth, it's like putting a lid on a boiling pot. And eventually, that pressure dulls desire and creativity. You might even notice that you no longer feel inspired to create, to connect deeply, or initiate pleasure because your body starts to associate self-expression with risk instead of joy. Some common burnout habits that can show up for your personality type can look like saying it's fine or I'm fine when you're really not, over-accommodating others at the cost of your own energy, ghosting instead of expressing your needs because confrontation feels terrifying, and smiling through resentment instead of releasing it. So let's shift this energy with a little pleasure ritual. Try one honest truth a day. Share one authentic feeling daily, even if it's a small "I'm tired" or "I need some time for me." No apology and no over-explaining. Another ritual you could do is to place your hands over your heart and your womb or lower belly. Breathe deeply and hum softly. Vibration will open your throat and sacral energy, reconnecting your voice and body. And we also do a womb breathing meditation in our Lavender Flow Pilates board exercise, so you're welcome to join us on YouTube. There's nothing wrong with wanting peace, but real harmony includes your truth as well and honoring that. So start small, one honest word or taking a deep breath or pausing before agreeing. And if you want more sacred tools or want to start your journey towards sacred pleasure, then activate your 30 days of pleasure rituals at shesacral.com. And if you're looking for deeper support, you can book a one-on-one session where we'll dive in more into your burnout archetype, as well as create a guide plan for your burnout stage as well. Remember that your feelings are not a burden. They are sacred. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, that sounds like me, but I actually am a little more extroverted, then be sure to tune into the next episode, which is ISFP, the multi-passionate creator. This concludes today's episode. Thank yourself so much for showing up today, and thank you for tuning in to the She Sacral podcast.